And we are back for some Eastern European Division 1 action. We got a 1-1 tie, Danog. We're about to see our third game to be able to hopefully break this tie between the two teams. How are we feeling heading into it? Because we've had some interesting things in this series overall. First phase ban Tinker, first phase pick Terrorblade. I should say first overall pick. Sometimes we get that last phase, so last pick in the first phase, but a fifth pick overall here from Rinkushi. Are we expecting anything a little bit different with some priority heading into game 3?
Not necessarily. I still think, once again, it's going to go down to second pick being incredibly valuable. This game, spoiler alert, it's one move that have it. HYDRA playing on the Dire side this time around, so they actually chose Dire, so you have to wonder if HYDRA are going to go into a little bit more of that farming style, because overall, people haven't exactly pinpointed why it might be, but Radiant has a slightly higher win rate. A lot of people saying that the map is identical on both sides, but I think if you're picking a hero that doesn't really need to use mana that much to be able to farm, then Dire is still totally fine. If you need something that needs mana, then the Wishing Well provides a little bit more of that, whereas the Mighty Mines gives, I think, 4 HP per second. It's also, you got to make sure you get the lanes right, because the pull for the off lane is a lot harder. So I think what we're going to see is that we're going to see someone that doesn't necessarily need mana to be able to farm. You're going to see a more farm-oriented draft come out from HYDRA, and you're going to make sure that they put a lot more emphasis onto securing the off-lane. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see like an 8th pick or last pick of the first phase coming for the off-laner here.
Which is something that we saw from them in game 1, right? Where they went... No, I think it was Alchemist. There was some Elk +1 was in the first phase.
They flopped it around.
Yeah. So we'll see what HYDRA want to do heading into it. Of course, there's going to be... What happened? The flop?
No, I was just making some real floppy...
It works. It works. So
you sent me a flop emote. You sent me a flop emote during the break. I'm not an animated person.
It was called that.
Yeah.
No, you're not?
I mean, my family's part Italian, and we're very, very
Italian.
Yeah, like my mum's dad is Italian.
It doesn't come through the genes. You are white as anything.
That okay. I get from my dad. He's Irish. So.
That's rough for you. Surely,
I get that.
Give me some.
The dad's genes are very dominant. You know, they invade me quite heavily. My mum's got like olive skin and all that. White. and
then you're there just being the white little mess you are. It's okay, because we're not even in winter, and I'm pale as anything. So I don't even think we really followed up on it, but we were kind of joking like who was going to be more tanned. The summer that went past, and who's going to be more pale with the
expecting
winter going
me to go outside.
Now.
Come on.
Yeah, no, I'm not going outside now, dude. It's freezing out there. It's so cold right now. I don't know what's going on. Who gives a damn about the weather? Doesn't matter.
Southern Hemisphere problems.
Draft. Yes, Southern Hemisphere problems, and regardless, though, we do. Let's see what the difference is going to be. Again, like we were saying, HYDRA are going to have first pick. They're going to be on the Die side, and one move they're going to be on Radiant side, playing with second pick overall.
You reckon we're getting another Tinker ban?
I don't think so, just because they don't have the last pick of the first phase.
So they'll have a chance to respond to it if they go for it in the first phase, is what you're saying.
I think. Like, again, this is when they picked the Tinker in the first series overall of the event, it was a Beastmaster 5th pick and then the Tinker 8th pick. And I have to imagine that is only possible when you have that selection. I don't think you can go like Beast Tinker 6-7 and then have it addressed. So and at least that's the evidence that we've seen so far, but again, we haven't seen them be in this position now in this series, so it might be different.
Might be, but they actually took quite a while to bake that first ban on one move. They ended up going for the Coddle, which I guess it's kind of flex. Again, like HYDRA, if you're going to go a little bit more of like a farming style, then even a support Coddle is able to just get a crazy amount of farm because of how many stacks there are available, because of how relatively closer the creep camps are. So maybe Coddle is able to blast 2 at a time. So I really don't hate it as a ban, but first phase, I'm not as certain.
Yeah, what's that? What's that leave through? And actually, what have they even been banning as well?
Doom. Doom's got to go. It's too strong. Best hero of the patch, in my opinion. It's one of the best of the last patch.
Was it nerfed, actually?
Not really.
Who cares about Agshad? It's just that... What? That's it?
Yep.
10 seconds.
Yep. And then they kept it as a strength hero, and then they made Crimson Guard based off of strength as well. So, you know, good luck. And now, even though they've nerfed auras a little bit, you can still, again, I mean, it's first pick material, man. Like, you can counter it, but he'll find a way to come back into the game.
So, okay, so the previous game, one move they banned Coddle Storm. This time it's going to be the Terrorblade instead of the Storm. So,
10 seconds remaining. Radiant
yeah, interesting that they wanting to ban the Terrorblade themselves. I guess maybe Concerned Hydra could snag that up, and one move will go back into the Crystal Maiden and the Alchemist like we saw in game 1.
I mean, that is one way to make Doom's life a little bit harder, is just dumpster it in lane. But again, it's gonna respond. You're going to get a Midas, you're going to have Devour to be able to get it. You have the potential to run down as well. So I wonder, what's a good sweet spot of, like, able to respond to early aggression, but also sustain the Doom long enough so that you've got some aggressive output going back the other way? Because we've seen, like, level 3, once Doom has 2-point Scorched Earth, he will just run at you under a tower. They'll try and shove the wave in and just won't even right-click you. They'll let Scorched Earth do a lot of the work. The downside, of course, doing that against a CM plus potentially an Alchemist one is that they've got a slow and they've got a root and a stun. So it's going to make it a lot more challenging to be able to go for that sort of thing. Plus, they naturally push waves out. This is a hero that I'm surprised hasn't gotten picked up quite as much, because I think Bat's in a really good spot. Again, they've got some flexibility with could it put it 3, could put it mid lane. Also, it's a universal hero now, so the fact that it gets more buffs as the game goes on, so more damage as the game goes on, really just does amp up a lot of that kill threat.
10
yeah, and the
remaining.
C patch he got, level 1 damage was increased by 2.
Yeah.
Yes, so... and I'm just checking his B changes as well, which are all buffs to Firefly. So I don't... Have you seen this hero much? What do you think on his skill build? Because before it was, you know, your stock standard, you max out your sticky, you go for your Firefly. I got to class 1 Batrider game at for the major groups, and 9 went a 1-1-4 build on that's mid Batrider though, so it's different. And also 9 is very crafty. I didn't see anyone else, maybe one other person going like max Firefly. So how do you feel over, like, what's kind of the item build, what's the skill build on this hero now with the changes?
I think it just depends what the matchup is, right? I don't think there is one set skill build. If you're someone that doesn't really have a way to be able to escape or to be able to, you know, right-click in lane, then Sticky Napalm's probably great, right? You just bullying them away. But if you're forced to go away, perhaps build up a few stacks, do some lane cutting, then maxing out the Firefly is probably the better option. I just don't... I hate it when there's, like, some cookie cutter build that you have to go every single time, and that's why I love heroes like the Beastmaster and the Batrider, where you can change things up depending on the situation, and it really requires you to think about the game rather than just open up the latest Immortal Faith skill build and be like, that's what I'm gonna do. I know you do that. I know you look at the skill, but no, you just play Mars every game actually, so you don't even need to do that. You've got your own skill build.
When was the last time I played Mars? This is the... Dude, it's...
Was it when I was playing with you? It was maybe.
23rd of... the 3rd, so... of March. I have not played Mars in a while. That hero is kind of poopy right now. Although I don't know what happened with the new changes. He got buffed up, Earthshaker got buffed up. What are your thoughts on Earthshaker? I thought there were some huge changes to him, and I think he's very viable.
Yeah, but apparently it was bugged where they actually just didn't increase the Fisher range. Like, it said that it was, but then it just wasn't. So I wonder if that's been hotfixed. I don't know. I haven't checked as of today, but Yeah, I'm interested to see if we will see some more Shaker. You know, I hate Shaker as like a do-nothing hero, but if you're someone that actually gets active around it and plays around the shard, then I think it can really work. So it's going to depend on the person that picks it up. I think for our second series of the day, the offlaner from Namiga, what's his name again?
Vaja?
Vaja. Vaja, yeah. He plays a core Shaker, so I'm interested to see if they look to try and break it out against 9 Pandas.
It'll be exciting to see. Hopefully there is some potential, because I do think there are some heroes that are yet to be untouched. Of course, again, I mean, C-Patch came out very recently. God bless Gabe and God bless Ice Frog, who released that patch.
Remaining.
Thank you so much. That we've got 3 weeks of Division 1 with the patch
remaining.
after the
Team
major,
pick.
because that could have been.
It doesn't need to be major all the time patches, right? It can just be little tinkerings when something's busted for so long. Remember the meta with Sven's Superman mode, where he was just like that for 4 months, and we were like, please, just something different, but it was just allowed to persist for a little bit too long. But we got the frog back. That's the important thing. That's what it feels like to me, at least. And Dota's looking real good, is all I gotta say.
But the frog did not nerf the Alchemist hard enough, nor the Doom, like you were saying. So still those 2 heroes there. And now 1 move, they're going to add a Mirana.
I think Alk got a decent nerf. Don't you think? It went from 3 to 2, the additional gold that you get from it. That's pretty big, like a 33% nerf.
10 seconds remaining.
I don't know if it's enough. I've seen 1 game,
5
and
seconds
Kami had
remaining.
he completely bodied game 1 on the Alchemist. So I need to see more of a sample size to be like, yeah, that was enough. Looking at him, like, I'm pretty happy with the nerfs, but is it enough? It potentially will find out, because HYDRA now, they're going to be working with the Shadow Fiend. They have all 3 of their claws picked up. I mean, the support's about to follow them as well.
Never know. They play a 4 Doom. Eastern Europe loves the 4 Doom. We've seen, I think,
10
Immersion
seconds remaining.
play it a little bit. I think he's probably the biggest proponent of
5
it. But
seconds remaining.
I think, I'm not sure if it is actually HYDRA
Radiant
that
team
do
pick.
it. It is actually, yeah. Lil likes to play the 4 Doom as well, and I feel like if you want a little bit of that flexibility, then you can certainly go for it, right? I think even this Shadow Fiend, HYDRA, by not having second pick, they've added a little bit of this flex into the draft, right?
10
You could just say
seconds
that this
remaining.
is a 3 Doom, a 2 Bat, and a 1 Shadow Fiend, but Shadow Fiend is also
5
flexed
seconds
very
remaining.
frequently between Kami and Warwick as well. So you could do mid Shadow Fiend, 3 Bat, and a 4 Doom, and then pick up a melee hero that is going to be a good counter against the Alchemist potentially, or whatever lane they pick up. So I kind of want to see 1 move go for another hero that's able to flex between multiple lanes. They've banned out the Monkey King, which was their answer last time. I think they need some sort of ranged hero here just to be able to have an answer to this. Just because 90% of mid heroes that go mid as a melee hero against a Bat and a Shadow Fiend are going to get dumpstered. So I think it has to be ranged.
That's a really good point. Okay. Before you said that, I was wanting a way to get on the Disruptor and a way to set up for the arrow. Potentially you can get that from your offlaner. But at least that's something I would like overall for them to have from 1 move. I mean, Alchemist can do that as the game goes on, but you kind of want someone to pair with a Mirana for like the 8 to 15, maybe even just say 8th to 13 when Mirana's going to be active.
I mean, yeah, like a last pick DK I wouldn't hate, DK Mirana, classic combination, you're against 2 ranged heroes in lane, Shadow Fiend does a decent amount of right-click damage, so you're not going to be worried about as much of that with the Dragon's Blood. Again, the stun means that the glimpse probably isn't going to happen. There we go. So it's a ranged hero. It's not necessarily like a big, win condition sort of thing, but you're able to get onto the Disruptor. You're able to avoid the Bat Rider, both in
10
lane and in
seconds
game. You're
remaining.
able to kite around a Shadow Fiend as well, and just shove lanes in
5
so that if you...
seconds remaining.
It's a flex response. It means that it is going to be mid, but I like that they haven't just gone all in with, okay, this is how they're going to draft. I think they've done their
Radiant
homework here
team
because of
back.
how important this series is.
And I think Ankrad has a incredible puck as well. So like, let's pick his hero up and continue to keep the... Actually, I guess there's not as much flex with the Alchemist. I thought, again, HYDRA had this one, so...
They could play it with Afterlife. Again,
Yeah.
concoction into Arrow
10
is
seconds
fine.
remaining.
That's true. I'm sure with how Alchemist has been the meta for quite
5
some time now,
seconds remaining.
Afterlife has been spamming out those pubs just in case there was a possibility for him to play it. We do see Hydra even thinking about it as well, with the Ursa getting banned out from them, so at least trying to cover their tracks. Let's look at Hydra's though. Now with the puck, does that signal anything like maybe trying to flex the Doom? Because that's something you were bringing up early with the potential for Lil to run it.
Dire team ban.
I really don't think it matters, to be honest, right? Like, the important thing is that you take away as many options for one move to be able to flex this around. They want to have this Doom have the capability to be offlane if they really want to. So I'm just thinking, like,
10
what are the big
seconds
counters to
remaining.
it? The Slark is gone, which would have been great against both the Doom and the Batrider, so
5 seconds
they've
remaining.
kind of done them a bit of a favor by banning that one out on one move for Hydra. The Monkey King's gone,
Radiant
the
team
Ursa's
ban.
gone, so is there anyone really else that wants to be playing super aggressively? Can't really think of many. Like a Chaos Knight doesn't feel that great. PL, not amazing, I wouldn't say.
10 seconds
No, I can't think of any
remaining.
others as well. I had
Of course, the LC is a good
5
ban,
seconds
just against the
remaining.
Batrider,
Dire
always
team
being able to
pick.
lock down a target.
I like the route that one move are going down, at least with the bans, that they're trying to get rid of some extra control that supports may offer, because it's a goddamn free puck game, and you know that maybe not free, but it's very good. There's a potential for you to get
10
doomed. There's
seconds
maybe you'll run
remaining.
into Static Storm, but overall you don't have that first stun, and that's really where the
5
Sky is able to
seconds
come into play,
remaining.
and potentially Techies as well. So
So what do you think they're going to go? Do you think it's going to be something like with burst damage, like a Lion?
I was going to mention,
Potentially?
I'd be fine with it.
Because, like, you're into an Alchemist, right? So you need a burst in before you get the Chemical
Radiant
Rage. You need
team
instant
pick.
lockdown for the puck. Silence. Okay, it's not burst, but it is decent lockdown.
You have a lot of team fight from Hydra. Do we like their support duo? Silencer Disruptor?
10 seconds remaining.
In terms of team fight, I love it. They must
5
have just said,
seconds
look,
remaining.
we feel like there's nothing really that's going to crush the Doom in lane, so we're just going to rely on him to get huge and basically carry the game for us until Shadow Fiend gets strong. I think that's what they're really basing this off of. But,
Choose your
well,
hero.
there we go. The Snake Lady, the eye roll coming through from you. The Snake Lady has made it through all the way to the last pick of the draft. And remember, this is something that I mentioned. So I really think a lot of Deucer picks now are going to be based on A, how late you can get it into the draft, but B, playing on Radiant, because Radiant gets the Wishing Well buff, which is 1.5 mana regen per second. So if Deuce is farming along that bottom line, mana regen is all you want, because your health really isn't going to be impacted all that much. You're not going to be based off a HP regen buff from that area. So I like the fact that they've been able to pick it up this late. Is it too greedy? Maybe. But again, if it works out, it's going to be too great. I mean, I think they're really just putting a lot of tickets in the Anchorad box. Sorry, this is a bad analogy, but they're basically saying he's having a great series so far, and they know he's going to do a good job in lane. They know he's going to make space for them, and they say, look, we've got an Alk Deucer. If the game goes long enough, we're going to win.
So I wonder what the build for Maincrad's going to be then, because this Silencer last pick definitely makes his game a little bit more tricky. I think the Silence also unlocks the Batrider potential as well, whereas the game goes on, you've got Lasso into Global Silence, one hero is dead. There's just no response to it at all. There's nothing you can do to it. So there's also that for Lil playing the Silencer as well. So I don't know if Puck needs to consider your Scepter, because you get value out of the Static Storm and you get value out of the Global Silence as well. But we'll see. We'll see what the choice is going to be from Aincrad. Let's hear once again from our sponsor before we get underway for our final game.
Bets on esports, bets on streamers, impressive bonus system. Welcome bonus up to $600, cashback, artifacts, regular promotions, daily giveaways. Try yourself as a bookmaker. Great lines. EGB.com, more than just a bookmaker.
And look at that. We're missing nothing. No crazy action going on. Just a nice pause for us to slowly ease ourselves into this final game. So I was kind of mentioning the pucks itemization. Dan, okay, what do you think of Ankrad in this game? Because you mentioned you feel like he's had quite this series. What are we expecting out of his puck now this game?
I like the idea of the Yule Scepter that you were suggesting. I just think it's going to leave them massively lacking in damage if they go down that route. Like, Puck obviously doesn't do a ton of damage super early on, and with the Dream Coil, like, you're probably going to need to max out the Starstorm instead of things like the Arrow to be able to get anything out of Gilgir on his Mirana. I gotta say, though, Gilgir Mirana's pretty top tier, so Grandmaster on the hero, it's probably the hero that I most strongly link him with, to be honest. So I love that he's being given the keys to the castle to be able to play it in a very high importance game like this one. But yeah, to me, it's really just going to be about those puck rotations, right? You've got Afterlife playing the Alchemist, so I'm really expecting Ankrad to be able to make those rotations once he's got the Dream Coil towards the off lane, to be able to A, get a kill onto the Shadow Fiend, B, unlock the Alchemist to be able to farm a little bit further. If they can take some of those early towers, things look amazing for them. Even just, I know we've seen it, and it was kind of an indicator of who's going to be in a strong spot to be able to close the game out, but those first Wisdom Runes, man, they're very important, and I would say they're probably... Is it more important for HYDRA? I'd say it's pretty damn important, right? Like, it allows you to, on Warwick, like you mentioned before, the lasso into the Global Silence means that whoever gets caught is guaranteed dead, but I think before he gets a few of those early-ish items, you can even use the Global to, like, set up for the Puck, for example, right? Where she can't use her spells to be able to get away. That allows you the space to be able to gap close before you get into something like the Boots of Travel or the Blink.
Yeah, it feels like the levels on one move for the supports is really just going to help the burst from like Gilgir and mainly Gilgir, like with the Alchemist and with the Puck inside some of the early fights, but then Dire, it helps your team fight, right? So I'd probably say if you're not getting pickoffs with the support combos on one move, then you might not feel as much importance about getting the Wisdom Rune. I don't want to say getting the, like, you're going to put priority on it, but I just mean in terms of two teams, like, who would be happier with it? Definitely Dire supports, I'd say, is
another level 1 fight, potentially.
But this is this cliffboard, man. You cannot give this over.
So this is one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons that I feel Radiant is favored, is specifically this warding position, right?
Yeah.
A, it just gives you so much vision. B, the positioning of the small camp underneath it, it's just so close to the lane that there's really nothing that the Dire team can do to be able to stop you. And just because you've got that cliff ward available for yourselves, it means that any sort of, like,
The battle begins.
The river, it's just, and Dai don't have that. Dai do not have this a replicate of that cliff spot up top. So yeah.
So I'll ask you this question: how this observer ward that HYDRA have placed, where the Watcher is, before the Radiant Roshan, how much of this do you think is to scout out the early rotations, just to make sure that the lane goes well? Because I really feel like for these two teams in particular, with how aggressive they like to play, if they could just win the laning phase and secure those Wisdom Runes, it just sets them up for so much success.
Denied.
Like, they just don't want to get ganked. They don't want to get, like, tri-lane to be able to start this off, essentially.
Do they even get a kill if it's like Frostbite into Arrow into Snake, level 1 on one move? Or we're gonna... Kami's where First Blood's gonna occur, and it's top lane onto Afterlife, so they don't need a tri-lane from HYDRA, all they need is a couple of raises.
I did not see that happening, so... Did he get his salve interrupted on Kami? I think he might have. If so, nicely done by Gilgir.
Potentially. I heard a Selv. I see Happy still got his going. I didn't see if the Shadow Fiend used it. And Kushi is gone Magic 1 into the Falcon Blade, seeing a lot of Medusas like the Ring of Basilius. Pretty much it's a tango with the value you get out of. See kind of the slight diversion from individuals.
I'm also interested to see what what skill build Panto looks to go for here, because you're a CM, but CM Dusa isn't really the strongest kill lane. Most of the time, especially with these couple of mangoes, you might want to go like a point in the Crystal Nova. But with a Dusa, maybe you're going to get a little bit more value out of the Arcane Aura just to keep her survivable, because again, this game is just about lasting long enough that your Alchemist Dusa is able to just steamroll over the game with the amount of net worth that they're able to pick up. Still holding on to that skill point on Panto. Maybe just waiting for Lil to put himself out of position.
Let's work on as well. 201 build here for the Bat Rider. So I was kind of mentioning before that the one time I saw the Bat mid lane from 9 at the group stage of the major, he went the 1-1-4. So Warwick this game, it's going to be still into the sticky. He's got that boot to travel and the BKB queued up. So it looks like it's your pretty stock standard Bat Rider build, at least from what we've seen in the past.
Yeah. And we know that Puck is a hero that's notorious for being a little bit squishy to right clicks. So things like the sticky napalm, just beefing up the damage that you're taking from the right clicks, is going to be pretty influential. I mean, that's even without considering the fact that, like we were talking about in the draft, Bat Rider got a 2 damage buff on this patch, so pretty nice for him.
Cloud took maybe, I don't know if I'd say unnecessary damage, but 400 health down bottom. We tried to scout out the small and the hard camp to the south of the T1 Tower of Radiant, so some back and forth of spells getting traded. Of course, it's got some Tangos and Selv, and I mean, Doom's got pretty decent regen regardless, and Panther might be the one that's in trouble, but the Scorcher is still on cooldown, so Cloud won't continue chasing. It's just Lil that's doing a lot of damage. 2 points glaives, Danog. Alright, it's a very interesting build we got out of the Silencer, and it's almost enough to get the kill into Panther.
Well, it's specifically against the Dusa, right? Dusa's all about having that mana, and if you could just look to reduce your int, like steal it away at every opportunity, why not, right?
Whoa, what's going on in the river? Ankrad? He's gonna get a solo kill into Warwick. Orbs back up. Is he gonna go? Oh, backed off a little bit, and I won't continue with the chase. This Bat Rider is gonna be able to get out of danger, but he is losing a lot of creeps under tower.
A little optimistic with the use of that illusory orb. You know, if it was during the nighttime, I could understand, but it means that he won't necessarily have the mana that he wants to have to be able to shove this mid lane in. But like you said, they've lost enough in the lane already.
Setting up for the stun, Gilgi, he's going to be able to leap on forward. Doesn't even have a point in the arrow, and it's not required. A lot of damage between these two heroes. Gilgi opting for the high points in the Starstorm to help burst down Kami's life inside the lane.
Afterlife kind of wants Happy to stack up the small camp a little bit more for himself. I think he's licking his lips at the potential possibility there for him to be able to claim that one. 2 points concoction as well, so it's very clear that they want to be able to go for a lot of these kills, but I mean, it really does start to ramp up once Gilgi hits into that level 4.
Do you not just want to bring the CM top? I guess the bottom wave is in a greatest position, but if you get a kill into Kami, who, speaking of the Shadow Fiend, Slim's back is able to sit up for the Razors. Now he'll send Afterlife packing as well, so being able to do a pretty good job from HYDRA, be able to trade that life back into their favor.
Come on, Happy. Go for the glimpse back to base. I know you're thinking it. Glimpse just a couple of seconds away. And he does have a decently stacked up small camp as well, so should be able to just continue to allow the SF to have a pretty decent game. Get the full pull off as well. Yeah, nice.
Yogir actually TP's bottom to try and stop Lil from chasing down Panto, so the CM's not going to end up dying. Looks like Munkush is going to be forced to move on over as well. That would help get that kill. In fact, he gets it as well, so nice little injection of gold over towards the Medusa.
And he's level 4 now as well, so can really look to snowball his own farm a little bit. I wonder how long he's going to stick around. Maybe he's going to look to make a bit of an aggressive play onto this mid lane. I mean, Puck hitting level 6 and then maybe sticking around to be able to claim the Wisdom Rune could be an option. Unfortunately, didn't walk right on top of the secret shop to be able to snipe that courier that was there, delivering the arcane boots to the Doom. But I mentioned how important this is. They get a brief glimpse of Gilgear. Yep, they're pinging him out underneath the tier 2 tower. They know he's making this move. Does anyone make a move to be able to defend this? Cloud doesn't want to leave the lane. Is that Ryder going to move there? Looks like he's stuck up tops. It's a man fight.
They got Cloud coming over at least. So poor Gilgear. Oh, got a couple of leaps. He's actually going to go, oh, Gilgear, maybe the deny? Oh no, what's going on? And now the other Wisdom Room. All right, looks like Pantomime was able to get this, and Afterlife is going to be able to combine with the Crystal Maiden as well to shut down that attempt from Happy. So a couple of kills across the map.
But don't we love seeing teams have their learning process throughout a series, right? Like game 1, it was very clear that HYDRA were just completely on the ball with we've got to make sure to be there beforehand. But you know, it was honestly the opposite in game number 2. This time around, both teams really putting a lot of emphasis onto it, and well, this is probably the closest it's been since we saw the odds in the early game from those previous 2 games.
I'll move in a great position thanks to EGB. See if they're going to be able to continue off with the strong start that they've had so far. It was an attempt onto Aincrad's life mid. 3 heroes from HYDRA nearby, but might be just trying to still stick around to try and secure the power rune.
Fight's happening.
And it's bottom.
Puck just banking on it being bottom. He's got to be a little careful. No lasso available, but should be a dead CM. Aincrad, though, was able to shove in the mid lane, secure the arcane room for himself, so I think he's perfectly happy with the outcome of things.
So, how, if we compare the carry-to-carry matchup, is actually mid lane Aincrad, he's probably going to go down. Look at the damage between the two. Pops the phase shift, but isn't able to get enough distance away as Warwick and Lil, beautifully done, able to get a big kill onto Aincrad's park.
I mean, just have a look at Lil's skill build as well. He's got the 3rd point into the glaives. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get all 4 points by level 7, just because, again, it really does feel like a Deucer counter. Just having that int steal consistently. This is a sort of game where, again, as a position 4, you want to just be able to go into something like a Dragonlance. You can see he's going into the power treads, right? He just wants to get as many right clicks off, as much int steal as possible. If he could get the Grove Bow, the tier 2 neutral items, he's going to be laughing.
Afterlife? Charging aggressively, trying to secure the bounty room, but he's also got a couple other members to play with. Great arrow getting tanked from Happy. I don't know if it's going to be enough to keep Warwick alive, though. Move, they're going to be able to get a big one onto their favor. 2 for 0 with every member from them moving on over. Besides, of course, the Medusa, who we're not going to see for quite some time.
I don't know why I thought Lil was going to be getting power treads, seeing a Belt of Strength and a Robe of the Magi. It's the drums instead, which also, you know, is going to provide you with some of that right click increase.
Oh, he had it queued up as well. No, yeah, he did have it queued up too, so.
Okay. I'm not seeing things. I'm good.
No, you're not.
We're good. My real question is who and when are they going to be able to build up a bunch of these stacks? It's not like they have the greatest potential to steal it away on one move, these stacks inside of the Dire Ancient Camp area just yet. With a Shadow Fiend and a Bat Rider, they are very capable of being able to take those pretty quickly.
Yeah, alright, now the smoke. Continue the action. I do want to try and speak about the carries. Looks like they're... Alright, never mind. This is going to be a fun smoking potentially.
Yeah. I like it.
Good. Like Pantomime and Gilgear, they're going to try and smoke the Arthflash. They want to try and catch Kami, but he's back deep behind the tower. And looks like Happy's going to be able to pop this as well.
Quick
so potentially...
fingers, man. He tumbled away before he even landed the Crystal Nova.
Even Munkushi's coming over as well through the rift, so the Medusa. Another member to try and slow down the farm from HYDRA. Now we got some time. What do we make overall the carry matchup versus like a Deucer and Shadowfiend? Because often Deucer against ranged heroes can really struggle, but is Shadowfiend one of maybe an outlier where you can't outrange her?
I mean, Shadow Fiend has the potential to maybe outrage it, right? But it's going to depend on some luck, right? Do you get the Dragonlance? Do you get those neutral items? Does the support on your team get a telescope, for example?
Okay.
And you might just look to try and kite her around a little bit, right? With the glimpse, with the lasso away. You force her to use the Stone Gaze and then just run away, or then use the Requiem around that similar sort of time when she's trying to get aggressive. So I think Shadow Fiend has the tools to be able to deal with her.
They might be setting up on Kami top though. Afterlife is ready in the tree line. Can lead him with that first stump, but the rest of the team, they've run into Happy once again, so the Disruptor's going to make it a bit more of a difficult task for one move to be able to move on top. Afterlife was at least able to still land the combo. So Kami's going to be slowed down on the retreat. He needs some help, man. Where's the team Requiem charge up? The Global Silence even going to be used as well, so Kami will be able to get the kill onto the Mirana.
What?
What? Gilgi? That smoke? Double leap away. Gilgi's okay. Now Mimo back over the left side. Batrider, he'll find the target with the lasso. Warwick's able to get the kill, but the turnaround might be there. Afterlife trying to find the angle.
No, Gilgi.
On the point, and now Gilgi, he'll still go down in the end. So unfortunately for him, that smoke usage was not
it was
enough.
a neutral creep, man.
To neutral.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, they could have easily got the kill. Happy just didn't choose to use the glimpse. He wanted to give it over to the Shadow Fiend because of how much he'd expended. But, you know, sometimes you got to be a little bit selfish. Just secure the kill.
A gift from the tempest of battle.
You know, both teams are very happy to smoke happy, using it pretty consistently. But, I mean, if you can use it to get away and then get a neutral deny and prevent Shadow Fiend from farming for about 30 odd seconds, I think you're pretty happy.
No, dude. Oh, Doom, what a hero, man. Yeah, who cares about auras? Remember, this guy was pretty broken even before that Pipe Crimson Guard, and now still with the Octarine and the build that we have, he's going to disassemble the Arcane and the Vanguard. And he's going to have a Midas boots, sorry, Midas Octarine, maybe 1430 in.
You love to see it. I love the fact that I was actually going to mention that before all that action happened up top. He went the Midas first. Like, he only just finished up the Vanguard. So, the fact that you're able to do this, because he knows that, look, I'm against a Deucer and a CM in this lane. I'm not going to die. A Ring of Health is totally fine. He also had the Toughness aura as well, so that he was going to be able to just keep himself safe with all of that additional armor.
Mid lane Kami actually might be in some danger, but the Moonlight Shadow is going to enable move to just sneak on forward and get on top of Kami, but bottom lane as well. Deuce is in some trouble. Munkushi, though, activated the Stone Gaze before the lasso. It's a lot of damage being dealt. They're even going to use the Doom as well. Why not? Everything committed to slow down Munkushi, but now Ankrad and the boys, they're going to be able to rotate it. There will be nothing to axe the deterrent. They'll get some distance away for the Doom, but Happy will not have the same fate as the arrow. Good on a Warwick. Just a stray arrow from Gilgir lands even when he didn't mean it. 4 for 1.
Nah. Meant it.
Sorry,
Calculated
Gilgir.
the whole time.
My bad.
My man's a grandmaster, dude. How could you possibly say he didn't mean that one? And now with that, they might even be able to go and steal away the Wisdom Ring. You can see Lil, he's actually instantly TPing up towards that top side, and he's going to breathe a sigh of relief that that one's still available. I got to once again give props to Ankrad, though. The fact that he was able to get in on top of Lil, use the Waning Rift there, just as the Global Silence came off cooldown, meant that they weren't able to pop that and potentially get the continued success in that team fight. Ankrad is playing so well this game.
So what they use, a Lasso, Static Storm, and a Doom for that kill onto the Medusa. Of course, a couple of them will be back up very shortly, but whenever that happens, Ankrad will be enabled, and so he's got the Kai now queued up.
It kind of feels like that, I know you're not a huge Simpsons watcher, but have you seen the Mo meme where, like, Homer gets tossed out of the bar and then Homer just shows up again behind him? It kind of feels like that, where if you pop everything to kill the Deucer, you've still got an Alchemist that's farming. You've still got, you know, all these other heroes that are just going to have a pretty decent game. So good luck trying to just blow everything on one guy.
And then Alchemist, that's going to have a very interesting role this game. We see he's going to be a lot of the initiators. Might potentially show up huge in this fight. He's going to try and charge up the concoction because he's got the rest of the boys soon to fall in pursuit. They're actually going to use the combo onto the Disruptor as the Global Silence will help the TP out, but man, it was close.
Yeah. Still just level 1 in the Global Silence means that you got to be pretty quick with those TPs out. Just the 4.5 seconds.
That is a global expended, so we see instantly them over the top. Afterlife's going to try and play in front of Mikushi, who has a Lotus Orb queued up as well. So this is going to be Duso with a Solar Crest and a Lotus Orb on top of him as well.
Feels pretty good against Global Silence, against potentially like a glimpse against the Lasso, just getting rid of the Napalm, the Flame Break, Doom itself.
Do we feel like there's overall any major winners at like this stage or even losers as well? It's only 1,000 net worth lead for one moon. Is one side happier than the other?
Pretty hard to say, to be honest, right? Like, I think Cloud is going to be incredibly satisfied with the fact that he's got a 17-minute Blink Midas Octarine. Lil, his item build is all about just shutting down the Deucer. The fact that Deuce is still second on net worth, though, not that they would know it, is going to be a bit of a concern for them, right? They need to make sure that off the back of this really good start that HYDRA have had, that they actually look to try and take away some of this map that he's greedy.
Oh, there we go. The early Blink pickup's going to catch him off guard, and even though they got some sustain playing behind him and even a 3-man concoction as well, it's not going to be enough to turn the fight around. Static Storm's going to get laid down in the middle. Doesn't really provide them a whole lot of value from HYDRA. As Cloud's still going to reinitiate once again. Warrior's got the BKB. They're going to try and lasso. Turn back towards.
That's a lot of damage.
It's a beautiful combo from HYDRA. But the damage isn't enough. Mukushi, he's got full mana. How is this guy back up to full mana? Kami, he's in trouble now. Forced to turn it back around. Another snake bouncing back and forth.
Gonna get away though?
Wants to run up to the high ground. He's going to be cautious though. He'll think twice. HYDRA still have some decent resources to play with. Stacking up the sticky napalm as well, but they will not continue to stick around with the puck respawn. Ooh, alright, Anchor. He'll even be able to get the kill. I thought Warwick may have had enough time to escape.
So he had it was an Arcane Boots plus full Magic Wand was what the Deucer popped to be able to get back to... I don't know how she got full mana. I guess she had a Mystic Snake going at the time as well.
I was like 300 under. That's close enough for me to say full inside of fire. I had just... What? What the hell? Because I saw him like, hang on, she's almost dying, man. All of a sudden I look back at her health pool and she's got 3/4 mana. What's going on here? But...
Gotta give props to Lil again. Like, again, I've talked about how I love his item build. He's constantly just using the trusty shovel, even... Ooh, he's gonna get clipped there. He got a Kobold in that fight, which meant that the arrow follow-up from Gilgir actually hit the Kobold instead of everyone when they used that coil onto multiple. So he is playing incredibly solidly with this silencer.
Look at this deep ward behind the tower. Happy will finally read her. He might just die inside the arrow and acid spray, so... Look at the D ward, but still the tower goes down along with the death and now move. They're even looking to try and play aggressively inside the jungle. With that one pick off, they feel it's enough just to maybe take away a little bit of the farm.
Alright, so now, off the back of all this, one move, they're in a really good spot, right? Like, it's an Alchemist, but it's only a 2k net worth lead, so you might think it's feeling relatively even, but the big difference for mine is that despite having a, let's call it greedy draft, no one really takes towers all that well. They've taken every single tier 1 tower away from HYDRA, so it's just more space for them to be able to farm. It means that you're just going to be in such a good spot to be able to potentially make a move to invade at the 21-minute mark to steal away the Wisdom Rune and continue to play all that more aggressively.
Unlucky, man.
Almost got the Butterfly as well. I mean, yeah, the Disruptor Shard never feels that great as, well, we see the odds and, well, they're kind of agreeing with me a little bit. 1.2 for one move and, well, HYDRA, they're not completely out of it just yet. You know, we can see the avenues for them coming back. We keep talking about their team fight being amazing. And there's a good reason for that. The scan's going to be just off the mark. Won't be able to catch them. How quick are they on the fingers once again?
You want to
look at that positioning.
You need a more value target, and like you said, Ankrad, perfect position. He's got a
DD
inside the bottle. This is scary. Puck could completely take over this team fight. Global Silence is going to catch him off guard. Beautifully done from Lil. Now they've got the Doom onto the Medusa as well. All their attention will be solely put onto Mikushi. A Requiem on top of his body as well. Because why not? Park will look to join off the back of the buyback. Afterlife, it's a triple concoction, but where's the Park? Finally,
Triple coil.
Aincrad's able to jump into the middle to provide the follow-up damage. A double kill soon to be turned into a triple because the concoction is there in the nick of time to cancel the TP. What a buyback from the Park. It felt like it might have been a little bit too late from Aincrad, but Afterlife with the triple concoction made it so he was able to get there at the nick of time.
I mean, yeah, Afterlife and Aincrad, they're playing really well. Gilgear as well. I mean, just the little things, right? He made sure to stay in just long enough to be able to deal that bit of extra damage to kill the Shadow Fiend. The aura from the Guardian Greaves protecting his team when they're at low HP. And then he leaps away just before the Shadow Fiend dies so that he doesn't get the Death Requiem and able to land that Sacred Arrow so that they secure the kill at the end. Like, all of these little things that don't seem all that significant add up to be so much more. And now I would imagine that they're going to be considering going towards that Roshan, considering Aincrad did buy back for that previous attempt. It's going to be very important for them to secure that secondary life for him.
Yeah, but
They've got the butterfly now.
Munkushi still dies inside this butterfly though, so I really wonder. I agree, I think there's a lot of value for the Puck, but you have to be considering the Medusa as well, right? Because they've just doomed and Requiem her back-to-back fights, and if you have the Aegis, and it's a little bit more questionable to use all your ultimates on her, so this is going to be a difficult call on who you give the Aegis to.
I think you got to still give it to the Puck, man. Like, I feel like the reason that Munkushi died was because Puck was dead at the start of that fight, and the only way that... We're still going to give it to the Deucer, but in my opinion, the only way that Deucer is dying is when there's no control provided by the Puck. And, I mean, now it's going to be very clear for HYDRA, like, what their... I don't want to say win condition is, but who their target priority needs to be for. Even though they're going up into an Aegis, they're very close. 300 gold away from a Blink Dagger on Warwick, 300 gold away from a BKB on Cloud. They're going to get those next two items and really look to just focus the Puck, kill him, and then finally be able to secure a few more of those towers on the map.
Yeah, and well, you see for Aincrad, he's kind of had enough of that. He's got a Manta style, in fact, queued up, so pretty much only value he's going to get out of that is the global silence. I mean, that's it. Yeah. I can't see really anything else. So, very interesting choice from Aincrad.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
We shall see. Again, that was the big thing.
Farm, I guess.
It does indeed, and I mean he's going to do a lot of right-click damage as the game goes on, but Manta's a pretty hefty item, so there's still going to be a very vulnerable window from Aincrad.
I think they know that these big items are coming through, and, well, they've picked them up on... I mean, this is going to be a smoke on smoke, it feels. Going underneath the safety of where they brought it up. Maybe they're just actually looking to counter this one out. They know that a move is coming through. Did they have any vision D? They didn't. I mean, the map is pretty bare for HYDRA right now.
This is scary, man. They got the vision advantage. Instant use of the Moonlight Shadow pins him. An aggressive position, maybe trying to hope to drop some vision down to enable the fight.
They've used a lot, though.
Yeah, Stone Gaze, Moonlight Shadow. Cloud's gonna try and find an angle in. Doesn't find the greatest opportunity. Munkushi pretty good positioning up on the front line. We see this time very hesitant about using the ultimate. So they're gonna back on off. What was even used on Die? Was it just the BKB on Warrior? I think that's it, right?
Just a BKB and Firefly. I mean, previously, Aincrad would have been jumping in, like, balls deep in that fight. But he knows that, look, I cannot afford to die. Like, my life has so much more value now that I just don't have that second life available for myself.
You surprised HYDRA on Smokey?
Invisibility.
You really feel like they're this weak with what we're forced from one move?
I mean, yes, no Stone Gaze feels pretty significant.
Big kill, and they should be able to find it. Concoction able to sit up for the arrow. No Static Storm for 30 seconds. Now we've got an even playing field for one move. As Kami considering about charging up the Requiem. I mean, the Battle Rider's down bottom for another 10 seconds here with the TP still on cooldown, so looks like they're going to have to sacrifice the area.
He doesn't even have the greatest amount of mana as well. Like, he's just going to try and shove this lane out a little bit, but...
They're still here. And Kami's only got the silencer. And Lil's not going to be around for too long. You know, Kami's going to BKB TP out, so... it just seems like HYDRA in that specific moment were just in two minds on what they should do, and that's going to give a huge window to one move. This is a T2 down, and they're posturing like they want high ground.
Why not, right? You've got the second life. Someone going back like they want to take out the Doom again. think they're going to be happy enough with a BKB being forced. It means that he's not going to be able to fight if they do go for, you know, an additional push through. Bottom lane. What are you doing so deep, my guy?
He wanted the haster and just ran into a support. So the double BKB now used from HYDRA. You are going to have everyone back alive, but you probably just look to make another go from one move down mid.
Yeah, how effective are they going to be? You might be alive, but if you just can't join the fight because of a lack of a BKB, how good are you really? How effective are you?
Under attack.
Panto, his positioning has just been super on point. Seeing if anyone's going to come out a little bit too deep. Gonna get the deny on his ward as well.
They got a glimpse of Warwick's positioning with the Watcher.
I mean, yeah, the Watcher's theirs, my guy. It's not friendly, it might be blue, but he's going to back up in time.
They won't get anything off the back of the Moonlight Shadow, but it's really felt like that Aegis from one move has just given them so much control of this game. It was a very... Yeah, and this is the last outer tower that's going to be claimed, and HYDRA want nothing to do with the defense, so one move in a very good position heading towards the mid game.
I mean, if we are able to have a look at HYDRA's vision right now, it is pretty pitiful. You cannot see anything outside of like what is in the lanes in terms of creeps. They're trying for a bit of an all-in sort of play here, but after like
would be nice.
BKB,
What a reaction, man!
They're out of there. So, I mean, they didn't use much on HYDRA, and you know that there's no chemical rage. You know, I'm not sure if they saw the Stone Gaze being used actually. But the Aegis, okay, well the Aegis has just been reclaimed, so they've got that going in their favor as well. Do you just claim the Wisdom Rune and go for the exact same play again? I kind of feel like you do. Like, Batrider can stay back in base until... but he's your initiation, right? Like, you need someone to fix these other lanes, and he can Boots of Travel in, but you gotta fix the lanes before you make another attempt. Do they even have another smoke is the other issue. I don't think they do.
I don't see one on Dire, no.
Yeah.
Another big thing is you've given... Angron has a Manta, man. So we were still saying that this is a pretty... it's a big item. It's a lot of gold, 4,600. It's going to take some time for him to get there, and it felt like he was still going to be vulnerable, but he's avoided the buyback death timer. He's still yet to go... I mean, buyback's going to be back up if required in a fight, and he's going to have Manta for the global silence now, which is really his big thorn in his side, so... This game continuing to feel like it's in a great position for one move. That being said, though, I still feel like late game, HYDRA have a lot of team fighting abilities and one move do not. I feel like we're going to get a lot more value out of the Dai heroes in regards to their supports and threes compared to like the supports on one move and the alchemists as well.
This is going to sound kind of ridiculous, but...
Okay.
Do you feel... Not to flame him, but do you feel like Cloud has been a little... Like, we haven't really felt the presence of this Doom, especially considering how crazily farmed he was early on into the piece, right? Like, it's 29 minutes, but his item progression is basically only a BKB for the last, like, 15 minutes. Really feels like he should have had a little bit more, personally. He's gonna have a halberd nearly, I guess, but... I don't know. I just feel we haven't really felt the true effect of those Dooms, you know?
I think we'll feel it now. Now without the Aegis, he can go back to dooming Mukushi. So what we saw was the recipe for success for them, and we'll see if it's going to be the case in this upcoming fight. They got the vision of all of them for the moment, but Cloud's not nearby to be able to find the jump, so they'll look to hang on out for the moment. After that's going to start, they'll get the lasso drag back. Every single ability dropped on the dome with the Medusa, but it's not going to be enough as a 4-star gets her out of danger. And a HYDRA, you've got to think twice if you want to continue on with a fight without securing the kill and using all your ultimates. You're in grave danger as Afterlife once again another concoction onto multiple heroes, as that's what the tips are deserved. What a performance, what a fight from them. One move, they're in prime position to look to get some objectives off the back of that.
And once again, you use everything on the Snake Lady, and she just does not die. A simple 4-star getting her back to safety. They've got auras as well, right? They've got the Solar Crest, they've got the Lotus Orb, they've got the Glimmer Cape as well. Like, just so much to be able to... Greaves on top of everything, so... what are you supposed to do against a Deucer that's this farmed when you are still, unfortunately, just a bit lacking in the damage? I was kind of expecting Lil to go a little bit more of that right-click style. You know, I was hoping for a Dragon Lance. He lucked out and got the Grove Bow, but he just hasn't been able to basically do any right-clicks onto Mikushi at all.
I wonder how different the Silence's impact could have been if he got lucky with the Ag Shot instead of the Disruptor, right?
Yeah.
And it really felt like that time period where one move got Aegis was... this game it's looked completely different ever since then. Like, HYDRA were actually in a very commanding position, but ever since one move got that Aegis, this game, they just not looked back.
And now even the supports are starting to build themselves up a little bit. I want to say that you've nearly got a Halberd as well for Gilgear as well. So, I mean, BKB timings are so important now in terms of when Kami is able to pop his. Like, he is really the only one that is significantly right-clicking, and his BKB is down to 6 seconds. So you just need to 100% secure a kill onto... Who do you even focus, though, at this point? To me, it almost feels like it has to be Puck. But even then, like, he might have enough to buy back soon, and then he's going to have boots of travel to be able to rejoin the fight, and, like, I don't know, it just feels like a really uphill battle for them.
I think Puck and Elk gotta go. I'm looking at this Alchemist who has a Lotus Orb, Solar Crest, and almost AC to buff up Munkushi, and he's got that Acid Spray.
He's got 6 armor from Solar Crest, he's got 10 armor from Lotus Orb, he's got a casual plate mail, he's got Cloak of Flames, and the vast majority of your damage is, I don't want to say the vast majority is physical, but you've got ways to be able to avoid a lot of the magic damage, just unless you're chain stunning him 100-0, which they don't really have any unless you're dooming the Alchemist. And are you wanting to doom the offlaner? Probably not.
You could consider it because you do have a Halberd on the Doom. So, I mean, I know Halberd's not nearly as long as Doom duration, but you itemize this to be able to address the Deucer, so maybe you feel like at least you're going to be able to control it for some of the portion inside the fight, and they don't have a lot of stuns on one move, like when Coil's down and when you don't have the Elk or the Frostbite, then maybe you can kite Deucer. I'm not sure, but... Because surely one move are going to have a second Roche inside their arsenal, so you're going to have Aegis and a Cheese, and this is such a great way to be able to mitigate all the ultimates on HYDRA, right? Like, if you can barely kill them the ones, like, sure, maybe you get rid of the Aegis, but on the respawn, what are you going to do?
It feels like you need two big ultimates to be able to kill, honestly, even the Alchemist, right? Like, you need Doom and Lasso to be able to do it. Because if you just pop in Global, like, he's got BK. If you pop in Global to kill a Puck, she's got Manta. And you've even got a Lotus Orb potentially to use it onto someone else as well to be able to save. So, yeah, I mean, if you're having to pop 2 ultimates just to kill one person, and you're probably banking on Afterlife not having the Chemical Rage up as well, it's a lot of conditions that need to be met, essentially, is what we're saying.
And it's a very different game as well from the second game, right? Like, you can't stall out this high ground. You do not have very good defense at all from what we saw prior was the Underlord Peel. Like, with this Agent, they will take your high ground. This is going to be at least a full set, probably... It's going to be a second with a contest as well. I mean, Deucer just got a Daedalus, so like...
And she's got the Enchanted Quiver as well for the extra attack range.
That gives... Yeah, that's right. The base as well. So, alright. Very cool, very cool. You're gonna need... Oh, we need something crazy. Potentially we could be looking at like a Lasso drag back inside the base and drop some extra stuff on top of it. I'm not sure. Something... It's gonna have to be a pretty crazy defense from the boys on Hydra to be able to withstand.
There's no reason for anyone to go in front of the Medusa. And now she's level 20 as well, so she's got... What's she gonna go? Snake Bouncer, Stone Gaze Duration, both are equally as good in my eyes. Stone, sure, why not? Just means that Bat can't run at you, Doom can't run at you. SF's not gonna be able to right-click.
Speaking of the Bat real quick, he just lost his chorus, so yeah, I think he's gonna be forced to TP out to try and go to the secret shop.
I mean, they're lucking out a little bit that they didn't choose then to be able to push, because he wouldn't have been able to rejoin the team for a good 30 seconds. Puck just walking back to be able to claim that Wisdom Rune. Panto says thank you very much for all the free XP.
Uh-oh, Lil.
Radiant
What was he trying to do? Steal away the wisdom?
Yeah. Unfortunately for Mr. Lil, this man
Man
fight
up,
is
Lil.
not going to go your way. May as well give it a crack, but it'll give...
Stole the 12 int, alright? It's a
This'll come in
difference.
handy.
No, it's and it also gives time for the rest of the team to get the lanes out. Your mid, they've been able to deal with another wave. Bottom, they'll deal with another wave as well, so... Oh, we'll be back up. What are we waiting for on... I mean, Aincrad has a Daedalus almost? Okay,
Yep.
so when's his scepter coming out?
Regeneration.
He just wants to wipe out those, that backline, basically. Just take out the disruptor immediately. Does feel like the time for their pushes now, though, doesn't it? Can't crit buildings, of course, but ooh, have to be a little careful here. Alright, just the flame break is going to be enough for Warwick, but they will see a glimpse of the Firefly. Yeah, that might even be what Gilgy is pinging out, saying no Firefly, push now. Right, with the Octarine.
Dire's
Back up in
bottom
just a
tower
couple of
is
seconds.
under attack.
Still, every little opening is going to mean a lot. Just the Glimmer Cape being laid in onto. Where's the Alk? Not going to pop the Lotus onto Mukushi just yet. Maybe with this wave. Might choose to do it just so that that lasso back into the base isn't a factor. Just glimpsing the illusion to instantly kill it.
Are fortified.
Okay, dude, I was looking to see how they killed one straight away. I was so confused.
That's what I'm here for, bro.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Dagon Hex. Those are the ways.
Well, Afterlife's gearing up for a jump. Elk's going to be in. Airs onto Kami as well. They already used the arrow, though, so there wasn't going to be any follow-up stun to force the reactions. Aincrad might just blow up the silencer. No global silence now for 40 seconds without the buyback onto Lil, so this should be a full set.
Good minute left on the Aegis as well.
Afterlife?
It's a little deep.
Alright. And it's a lot of damage as well. Greaves going to be able to repair some of the damage.
He's
Activates
fine.
the Chemical Rage along with the BKB, and he's going to be able to step on out. And Kush will protect him as well, just if needed with the Stone Gaze. And well, like you said, it's going to be very difficult to kill him off inside the lasso. We saw a little bit of damage coming through from the crits from Kami, but that's where Gilgy was able to come into play with the Greaves.
Just weren't perfectly on point with that chain lockdown, though, were they? I think the Doom got caught by a Gilgear arrow once again. 100% intentional coming through from him.
Oh no, caught out. Trying to D-ward, and
Gem is theirs.
it's a gem loss, and but the BKB was down, so oh boy, that's a lot of tips as well. I'm pretty sure there was a lot of tips going one move's way early on in this game. They will not forget. He's got 6,100 gold in the bank. What? You should buy something, friend.
Yeah.
Dire structures are fortified.
Buy a shard? No, he's buying a satanic.
Dire's middle tower
Just
is
'cause,
under
you know,
attack.
he was hard enough
Dire's
to kill.
middle tower.
Yeah, just a casual satanic. Why not? Are they gonna give it up?
How does...
Dire's middle barracks.
Is satanic worth buying? For do something?
Dire's
I
middle
don't know.
barracks
I don't
has
know.
fallen.
Right? Like, you get what I'm saying, right?
I do get what you're saying. Yeah, I do get what you're saying. Cloud. What's the call? They're coming back into your last set of barracks, and early coil. Afterlife's going to be able to follow up in.
Just trying to force out cooldowns. But the illusions, they're almost killing the supports, man. Oh.
And it's just space. Cloud's going to finally go. They'll get the Doom.
No Batho, no follow-up.
There's no stuns. So Dusa repositioned. In fact, Dusa wants to go back in, because why not? And now
Here we go.
Afterlife's going to have some follow-up
Last
as well,
chance.
as Kami's in trouble. Who have some time to activate the Requiem, but they still bring him down. The lash was there from Warwick, but it just will not matter. G's had dropped in one move. They're going to be able to jump up to 2-0 now to start off our final tour of this DPC season.
You know, I was feeling optimistic a little bit about the Shadow Fiend, but, you know, when things just kept staying even for the first, like, 20-25 minutes, I just had a glance over and saw that it was a Medusa and an Alchemist in the game, and I'm like, well, that's probably an issue. You know, I think these guys are going to continue scaling, and once again, the balanced Snake Lady is just able to take a game over. Not quite as quickly as she usually would. She didn't absolutely dominate the laning stage. Doom was still able to get a good amount out of it, but this is the first game that I've really felt like a team was heavily punished for not having an abundance of stuns, you know, reliable stuns as opposed to, you know, roots or silencers or anything that isn't linked with a super long ultimate cooldown.
It just felt like that one fight, though, off the back of the triple concoction from Afterlife and the buyback from the puck. Because that was also what was actually looking like a pretty decent fight for HYDRA, but just used a couple too many ultimates. They got Roshan really ever since that point, it was just all one moves game.
Was indeed. If you had to give an MVP, what do you reckon for that whole series?
I think Afterlife. It just felt like there were like back-to-back fights where you got some really value concoctions, and that was just enough of them. Ever since they got to that position, Kushi could take over. You had a free game as well towards that stage for the puck as well. But I think to get them to there, a lot of it was off the back of Afterlife and his jumps. What do you think, though?
It's a toss-up for me. I could go Afterlife because we saw like they got beat pretty hard in game number 1. Game 2, they gave Afterlife that priority, that draft priority, where his pick was not going to be counted in the lane, and the Beastmaster ended up being that response that they needed for the Phantom Lancer to be able to close it out. And then in that game, like you mentioned, so many multi-man concoctions that he was able to get out was really impactful. It's either between him or Ankrad for mine, or maybe Pantomime as well, but between probably the two cores would be the ones for me, because I felt like Ankrad was just solid in every single game this series.
Yes, that he was indeed, and a big reason of why they were able to take our first series of the night as well. So I know it's still early on, but the fact that one move is starting with a 2-0 series count has to be really huge for them. It's going to give them a lot of confidence heading into the second week, and they can chill out for a little bit and continue to watch their games. And you know, we have a very exciting series coming up as well. Next, we got Pandas up against Namiga, so the third place team at the previous major, of course, with a stand in it as well for Pandas. So they're going to be back playing with Solo and up against Namiga, the team to come through from Division 2. One team that I honestly had a lot of high expectations for. Maybe not like major slot.
One loss really... and already had expectations for.
I coming up to it, I think this Melrine player is really someone to look out for. I've had my attention on him for a little bit of time now, and I want to see what he's able to do and want to see what the boys are able to do. So Eastern Europe is a very, very competitive region. Let's see how they're going to be able to match up against Nine Pandas again. The third finish in that previous major, so they are no slouch of a team at all. Let's see what we have in store for us after the break.